Hello, everybody.
Hello. Welcome to Our Dinner is Done, or welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome for the first time if you've never been. So tonight we are going to be making one of my favorite pasta dishes. This is actually something that Jimmy will always make for me for Valentine's Day. It's our Valentine's Day dinner. It's our go-to romantic meal. But it's shrimp scampi, and tonight we're going to be making it with bucatini, but you could definitely make it with linguine or fettuccine or even spaghetti, whatever long noodle you like. We like bucatini because it's a little bit thicker, and there's like a hole right down the center, so it's good for soaking up whatever sauce you use with it. So it's really yummy. So hi to everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I don't know if you could see that hole in the noodle there, but there's a hole right down the center, and it sucks up all of the
super tiny when it's like this. It's like a pin. It's about the width of a pin, but
right.
As the pasta cooks, it'll open up.
I'm sure it probably means straw. Hey, Mark, you speak a bit of Italian. What does bucatini mean?
Bucatini.
So anyway, so it's really, really simple. You don't need a whole lot. You need some things that are just going to be in your pantry to begin with. And you're going to need some bucatini, some shrimp. Tonight we're using shallots. If you don't have shallots, you could use an onion instead. Some garlic, a little bit of white wine, and then some butter and olive oil. And that's really it. And we use a lot of salt, pepper, sea salt, fresh ground pepper, and fresh red pepper. We use that pretty much in everything that we make, so that's always going to be on hand. We're going to use a little bit of white wine and
butter.
Some butter, yeah. So
butter makes it better.
That's really it. And then after we're through making this, we'll post a pic and the recipe, the full recipe, on our Instagram page, and that is at OurDinnerisDunn. If you don't already follow us there. If you don't already follow us on here, please follow our page here too. You're showing everybody our little...
Very proud of this.
Our little owl.
Little owl. He's holding the lemon, and he's got some fresh Italian parsley for his hair.
I guess. Okay, so Mark, you don't know. But I have a feeling it means maybe straw or something, I feel like, because that's what it say on the box.
Careful, it's open.
Oh, sorry. We don't want that to happen. No, it doesn't say. I guess it's something I'll have to Google one of these days.
It's a nice little story of the Seco? From father to son since 1886, we have held the important responsibility of conserving the tradition of quality pasta without compromise, using the same processing methods that were established 130 years ago. This allows us to bring the genuine pleasure of Italian cuisine to tables all over the world. They have a little family portrait on there, which is super cool.
That's how you know it's good, I guess. Let's see. Who were you asking, Anastasia, if they got a haircut? I did not. My hair is really long. I just have some layers, so
I did.
He did get a haircut.
Nice and gray. Look at that.
Yeah, he's got some gray going on. It's funny because our baby even has a little bit of gray in his hair, so I think maybe he's going to go a little prematurely gray too. It's funny because when he was born, he had really, really dark, full, dark hair, and now his hair...
Looks like a different baby.
Yeah, and now his hair is super, super blonde. Yes, yep. So yes, he did get a haircut. And Mark, you need a haircut too? I could probably use one also. So Mom, next time you come over, maybe you can give me a haircut. Yeah. All right, but let's get started. So first things first, let's get our shrimp ready because it's going to take the longest.
So you can use fresh or frozen shrimp. This was actually, we bought it fresh and then froze it. That's ideal if you buy it fresh and then freeze it. If you could get it fresh and then cook it right away, that's ideal. But when you buy it fresh, it's not going to be have any preservatives or anything in it, so you're going to avoid getting any other chemicals or anything in there. So this is just jumbo shrimp. Actually, this is at a medium count. So the way you know how big the shrimp will be, you'll always see a number next to it with a dash in the middle. So this is farm raised, which isn't ideal, but it's okay. Peeled and deveined, so nice and
already
easy.
done.
No
Yeah.
shells on it for me. I don't have to devein it. We'll save that for another episode.
Mhm.
White shrimp, 26 to 30 count. And what that means, 26 to 30 shrimp come in 1 pound. So this is 1 pound, so there'll be 26 to 30 shrimp in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the larger, if you want a larger shrimp, it would be a smaller number, so less shrimp per pound.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe like the largest is like a
Extra
7,
jumbo.
8. It's like extra jumbo, or no, colossal would actually be the largest
Oh, yeah.
size. Yeah. So
Those are
colossal.
like mini lobsters.
So 26 to 30 is like a medium count. We used to get them from Aldi all the time, the tiger prawns,
Mm-hmm.
which were an 8 to 10 count. So they were almost like mini
Big,
lobsters.
meaty.
They were about 4 inches long, and they were about as thick as a quarter. So they would take longer to cook, but totally worth it because then they would really hold up to anything you put them in. But a good medium shrimp is gonna cook well. Shrimp cooks super fast. It's super versatile as far as proteins go. You can really put it in anything. And we eat a lot of shrimp. I think it's just super tasty. And I'm a shrimpaholic.
Mark, what were you asking? If you could use half frozen, half fresh? Is that what your question is? I mean, if that's the case, totally you could, but I would just thaw the frozen ones out prior to cooking them. There is an easier way to kind of do that. If they are frozen, you could just run them under cool water.
So that's what we're going to do. So this is still frozen. We took it out this morning. You can take it out the night before and let it defrost in the fridge. That also works. We just always do it this way because a lot of times shrimp is a impromptu meal, an impromptu protein. So I have a nice blacko shrimp, and we're just going to put that in a colander.
And just kind of strain. You're going to strain some cool water on top of it just to kind of break up that big chunk of ice. You don't want the shrimp to cook in the water, so that's why you're going to want to use the cool setting. You don't want to use it hot. The safest way to defrost any meat is in the refrigerator.
Always, yeah. You don't want to leave it out.
You definitely don't want to leave it out on the counter. The safest is to just put it in the fridge, either like the day or maybe 2 days before you're going to use it. But like we said, we didn't do that tonight, so we're just going to run it under the water and get it ready.
We kind of never do it, so I don't think it's a bad thing.
So right now, too, we have our water getting ready to boil here. The Bucatini would probably take, let's see, what does it say on the package?
So always read the package. This is actually not a pasta we normally get, but I wanted Bucatini for this meal. So 1 pound, 6 quarts, 9 to 11 minutes.
Yeah, so that's usually...
We'll check it at 8.
Yeah, we usually check our pasta at around 8 or so.
So whatever the lower time is that it says on the box, we usually pull it a minute before. Taste it. You'll know. You can just pull a piece and taste it. But again, we're going to add it to the sauce, and it's going to cook up to al dente. So you don't want to overcook it. You can always cook it longer in the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take back rubbery pasta. It just is not going to be tasty whatsoever.
Yeah, you don't want floppy pasta. You're going to check it, make sure that it has still a little bite to it, and then you can allow it to cook down in the sauce. You just don't want it to get super mushy in the water. So we always want to pull it just a little bit beforehand. So let's see. Okay, so we were saying that we're using shallots tonight instead of onions. Please let us know if you could hear us over that running water. We're going to try to talk as loudly as we can. But you might be hearing a little bit of that in the background as well. But anyway, we're going to be using shallots. If you have watched this before, we told a story a little while ago about one of our friends, their child, Sloan. She told us she recommended that shallots are more mild for children, and she is correct. That's something that she learned on the Food Network from Giada. So I actually really love to use shallots. The flavor is more mild. It's going to be a little bit sweeter, a little bit less potent, and they're really, really yummy, and they're actually super pretty. So you're going to see that when we start cutting them up. They have this really nice, pretty, like kind of purplish color. I use them sometimes in the peanut noodles that we made a couple weeks ago. They're really good. They're really good in that as well.
Yeah.
But we're just going to slice these up and get these ready to go, and we're also going to use some garlic.
Yep. And shallots they're in the onion family, so they're cut just like an onion. So you're going to have the one side that is going to be the hairy end. So one side will be hairy, and the other side will be what brings it all together. I think that's better.
There you go.
So
Yeah,
you're going
that's
to leave the
better.
hairy end on. So I'm just going to cut it the opposite side, and then I'm going to be able to peel. And you'll see it. The shallot is going to have like a redder tint. It almost is going to look like a red onion,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to just taste like a mild onion.
We love shrimp in this house too. Like honestly, we eat so much shrimp. It's one of my favorite things. It's super, super easy. You could put it with so many different things. You can make rice dishes. You can make pasta dishes. You could put them on the
When we made those peanut
grill.
noodles, we usually make it.
Yeah, actually, the last time we made the peanut noodles, we used chicken thighs. But generally speaking, we use the shrimp. And to be perfectly honest, I like it more with the shrimp than I do with the chicken. But it really depends on whatever you have in your fridge or your freezer ready to go. We eat a lot of shrimp, we eat a lot of salmon, we eat a lot of chicken, and ground turkey in this house. Those are usually our go-tos. But shrimp, like we were saying, it's super versatile. You can throw it on the grill. You could put it into soups. You could serve it with pasta or rice or potatoes, whatever.
It's great on the grill.
Right.
Cooks very quickly. And shrimp's generally reasonable cost-wise, too.
Yeah, and you can, you're going to save money too, probably getting frozen versus fresh.
Yeah. And the
depending
bigger
on
the shrimp, the more you're
size.
going to pay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Oh, you can see little Hoax walking around in the back there, getting some water. he's in the shot. Hi, Hoagies.
Extra mischievous boy the past couple days.
Yeah. I think we shared this story before about the spicy shrimp the night I gave birth. I don't remember if we did, so if not, this is the story, and if you've heard it before, sorry, I'm gonna share it again. But when I was at the tail end of my pregnancy, I was just shy of 40 weeks, and I was very ready to give birth. I was dealing with a lot of
being pregnant.
Yeah, I was
Very
definitely
much
over being pregnant. My back was killing me. I was super uncomfortable all the time. I was big and it was hard to get around. And one night I turned to Jimmy and I said, I really want the baby to come soon. I hope he comes soon. Maybe we can get him to come out with some spicy food. So would you make me some spicy shrimp tonight? And he made a spicy shrimp, like Fra Diablo sauce.
Shrimp and scallops.
It was shrimp, and scallops, and he made it over a long noodle like this, and he made it with a tomato sauce, a spicy tomato sauce. And sure enough, we ate that dinner, and within 2 hours, my water broke. So we like to say that that spicy shrimp is what kickstarted my labor. Oh, that is so neat. You have a farm? What do you grow in your farm? Is it just for meat and or you do vegetables and fruit and things like that as well? I would love to have a farm. That's so cool.
We have a small garden.
We have a small garden here. We don't have a farm.
Very small.
We have a tiny little garden. We have some peppers and tomatoes and some fresh herbs and things like that. But nothing too extravagant. Although, what we did plant this year, we are excited about our apple tree. Yes. We planted a Honeycrisp apple tree in our backyard. That was the one thing that I craved throughout my entire pregnancy, Honeycrisp apples. And we thought it would be nice to plant the tree like that so it could grow up with our son. And we can enjoy apples too. But here we go. So he's getting the garlic ready and the shallots ready. And all you're really going to do is you're going to let that kind of cook down in a combination of butter and olive oil. So we're going to do about two tablespoons of each to kind of cook those through. And this is a really kind of easy, quick meal.
Very. So I'm adding a ton of garlic right now just because I'm going to...
Yeah, our recipe calls for 3 to 5 cloves. Looks like we have more than that. Looks like we have more. We like we said, we like garlic in this house, and we feel like you can't really go wrong with it. So we're excited about that. Let's see.
So the shrimp is defrosted, so it's been in there for just a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to lay it out on a paper towel just to let it dry and just sort of pat it dry. You just want to get some of that moisture out. You know that it's dry just because or it's thawed because you'll be able to tell the ice is gone. Again, I defrosted it in cool water because I don't want to cook the shrimp. Shrimp cooks quite
so
quickly.
fast, yeah. And we're gonna season this up with some salt and pepper now, just to kind of get it
I'm actually
pre-seasoned.
going to do the shrimp first, and then I'm going to do it the rest.
Really?
Do I normally do it the other way?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll do it that way. Couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Long day.
Sure. I guess you could do it either way,
It
but our recipe, yeah, we normally will cook down the shallots and the garlic first, but we're gonna salt and pepper this. You want to get it seasoned up before putting it in to your pan. How cool is that? So, Icelandic Theater Geek has sheep, potatoes, carrots, and strawberries. How? That's so cool. So
Very
neat.
cool.
That's really, really cool.
Alright, so those are ready. I'll set these aside.
Yeah, so that shit is
That
good.
will take a moment to cook.
This is starting to percolate a little bit, this water here. It's not quite ready to boil. When it is, though, I am going to throw this pasta in, because like I said, this isn't going to take a whole lot of time, so we'll start cooking this up first, and then I'll throw the pasta in.
So shallots you're going to cut just like any other onion. So I'm going to slice it long ways so that it stays together. I'm going to come across. Since it's a smaller onion, I'm just going to do 2 slices. So now you can see that it is all sliced up going long ways. And then I've also sliced it down the center. And then I can dice. It's a nice fine dice, so it's going to really break down in the olive oil. And it's going to make a nice sauce for us.
Yeah. Yeah, you might tear up just like with onions. They do like let off those oils that kind of get you teary-eyed.
So a little water on the knife. I don't know if that's an old wives' tale, but I feel like it works for me. Those always fall.
What's that?
Those towels always
The
fall.
towels do. They always fall like this. Sorry.
Now a quick dice.
Yep. Those
Couple
are gonna be
tears.
diced like that.
Oh yeah, gotta be good.
So, is there anybody in the chat here who makes this on the regular? Because it's something that we make a lot, and it's really easy and tasty. You could also, when you're making a dish like this, it would be really fun to throw in like some spinach or maybe like a leafy green would be good with this too. I do love spinach now and then, and it would be nice to kind of add a vegetable in if you have them.
I do have spinach,
But tonight we're going to stick with the shrimp scampi the way that it is. Okay, so like we said, you're going to use about 2 tablespoons of oil here, about 2 tablespoons of the butter. You want to evenly kind of coat your pan there so that everything can get sauteed up really nice. We're going to throw the shallots in first because they're going to take a little bit longer to cook than the garlic. So let those go in. Let them start cooking down, softening up, and getting a little bit more translucent, and then you can add the garlic. I love spinach too. Spinach is definitely my favorite green vegetable like that. We use a lot of spinach. We've been having a lot of
salt and pepper.
Add some salt and pepper to your shallots too. We eat a lot of kale. We've been eating a lot of Swiss chard.
Yeah,
lately.
whenever we can find it. We love Swiss chard.
Especially the
Swiss
rainbow Swiss chard is the best. But yep, so we're going to coat that up. Make sure it's evenly coated with the oil. Put a little salt and pepper. And then let's
let it simmer.
Simmer, yep, cook down a bit.
So before I add the butter, I'm going to let it simmer down a touch before that goes in. And get my garlic cloves ready. So same as an onion. Just going to get a nice dice on these. You don't have to use a chef knife. It's just my personal preference. Always using the claw,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't cut your fingers off. It's always a good thing.
If you're not one to like the garlic in your food, but you like the flavor, you could always put in a whole garlic clove and kind of just saute it up with everything and then remove the garlic after you've cooked. We don't do that here. We love the garlic, and to be perfectly honest, I would eat a whole clove that's been sitting in here too. I wouldn't even need to have it diced up, as long as it's soft enough. But we're big on the garlic here. And I think I told you I was going to show you the other garlic tool that we had. Didn't I tell them that we were going to do that?
Yeah, you want to do the other one?
I just want to show. Yeah, I'll just show you another way of chopping the garlic. This is really more of like a slice. So this is something that we were gifted from Pampered Chef, and it's this little contraption here that comes apart. It has like this little press here that goes inside, and it has two compartments. And on the bottom is there are two little razors there. And so you put that piece in, you could throw your garlic inside. I'm just going to use two of them here to just show you. You throw them inside, you put this piece back in. Okay, yeah, you know what? It's just easier. I'll do them all. I'll show you. So you just kind of stick these inside. They can be whole, whole pieces like this. Put them inside here. You put the top back on, you press down, and then you spin it. And as it starts to come down, it starts to make these small slices.
Okay. Oh, okay.
There we go. And you can see here on the cutting board that they come out in these like little slices like this. So it's really neat. It's super simple to do, and this is the way I like to do it because it just cuts out some of the work. And you notice that like at the bottom there, it's just kind of hanging off there. So I'm just going to use the knife and kind of take that out and add it to the cutting board. And then there's going to be a couple pieces on the inside. So you could just take them out with a spoon or a fork. And you're just going to have these nice like thin slices of garlic that way. So this is neat. So like I said, this is a Pampered Chef tool. I'm sure you can maybe get it from other places, but this was a gift that we had received. That's something that I use a lot. So super easy to clean too.
Shallots are cooking down. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter to let that all cook down together. Can we use the tubs of butter? It's just easier.
Yeah.
And we kind of like the flavor.
Yeah, so we have a little butter in there right now. I'm going to give it a nice stir. This butter too is made with olive oil. So it's
healthier butter.
A healthier butter if there is one. And it's soft. It's kind of soft to begin with too, which is nice. I don't know if you could hear that, but our dog is barking in the backyard.
One in, one out.
Okay, so these look good. The water is boiling, so I am going to add the pasta now. So the rest of this really isn't going to take that long. But before I put the pasta in, I'm going to make sure to put some salt in the water. So, thank you. Put this, take this top off here.
Steam.
It is, it's steaming hot. I am going to add some salt in here, and you're going to want to put a decent amount of salt. Like we said in previous episodes, you want to salt it like the sea. That's what we learned in an Italian cooking class. You want to get as much salt as there, in there as possible now, because that's the only way you can season up the pasta. So you give it a nice amount of the salt there, and then we can add our salt.
In the meantime, I'm just letting these onions kind of simmer down a little bit.
Okay? And with the pasta, we've said this before, and we'll say it again. Do not break your noodles. Do not break them. You can just put them in whole. They will soften up, and they will all evenly cook in the water. You don't have to break them. It's like blasphemy if you do.
It is. I don't really understand why anyone would do that.
I'm not sure either. I mean, I guess if you want a smaller bite, but the whole sense of having a long noodle is because you want that long one that you can spin on your fork.
Yeah.
To break it, I don't understand. smells
Smells so good.
So good.
And that's just the shallots. I haven't even added garlic or
yeah.
crushed red pepper, which is about to happen now.
You're gonna see too that the shallots have changed color. That purple that they were when we first cut them, now they're turning, so they look more like a regular onion. They're turning that translucent color, and that's what you want.
And that's how we know we're gonna add our garlic, our lots of garlic, our diced and shaved garlic. I'm going to add that in. I'm also going to add my crushed red pepper now. I'm going to add about a teaspoon, which I measure by my hand. The cup of your hand is going to be just about a teaspoon. I wonder if it's accurate. I've never actually tried
let's see.
So let's see. I said it was a teaspoon.
Let's see.
No, oh no, it's less.
Oh, it's a little less.
It's about half a teaspoon. You could go heavier. I normally go too heavy on the spice, so.
It's good. Well, it made me go into labor, so.
Depending on what your purposes are.
Yeah.
If you want to induce labor, then go with a full teaspoon. If you just want a slight bit of heat, just go with one.
Well, I have to say, too, that meal was really great to have before I went into labor because
That's
it was a
for
nice
quite a while.
hearty meal before I was put into the hospital and before I labored for about 20 hours. So I didn't eat for like a full day after that.
I did. I ate all the hospital food they gave me.
Yeah.
Tasty.
That hospital food never looked so good, and unfortunately, because we gave birth during the pandemic, the food that I wanted to have after my
we
delivery,
had all these plans. She hadn't had a tuna fish bagel from our favorite local place, the Bagel Shop, since she was pregnant. So that was the plan. I was going to go and get a tuna bagel and bring it back. But it was, once you enter, you could not leave as the partner. So I couldn't leave and get her tuna bagel.
You couldn't get me my food, so I had to eat the hospital food. And I don't remember what the meal was.
I think we had like an eggplant parm one night.
Oh yeah, we did have eggplant parm one night.
Right after he was born.
I think I had potatoes.
I had
mashed potatoes.
I had the Thanksgiving dinner right after he was born. They brought it in to me, and I just held the baby, and then he was sleeping. Him and Sally were sleeping, and that's what they gave me.
Yeah. So stories.
There it is. So garlic and onions and crushed red pepper are all cooked up. We are ready to cook up our shrimp now. I'm going to cook up my shrimp before I add the wine because I want to get a little bit of a sear and I want to get all this delicious flavor. So I'm going to just throw my shrimp in, going around. I just put them in clockwise. That's personally just my preference. You don't have to, but I'm a little OCD with it.
Yeah, and I am just kind of mixing up these noodles here, stirring them up a little bit more so that everything is underwater now because the bottom of the noodles have kind of softened up. And these will cook down too. And like we said, we'll check these in about 8 minutes or so so that they're just shy of al dente because we'll be throwing everything together in this pan here, and that will all kind of give it some more time to cook up too. So I'm going to turn on our timer just so that we don't forget while we're talking here. And here we go. Yep, 20 hours. Yeah, just about. It was just about 20 hours.
Yep.
It was a lot. It was a long time. But you know what?
All worth it.
It's all worth it. And for those people that I know that were already moms, they told me that you will forget all of the stuff that you go through in labor once the baby comes out. And I told them, I don't know how that's possible. I just can't imagine that being the case. You go through so much physically throughout your pregnancy and the delivery. And sure enough, the baby's in your arms and you forget. You forget.
So I added just a touch more salt and pepper and a little bit of olive oil to my shrimp. It's now cooking down in my garlic and shallot mixture. And I have it over medium-high heat. I don't want to burn the garlic that's in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to burn the shrimp.
We left the tail on these shrimp. If you prefer not to have the tail, you could remove them before you cook them.
Yeah.
That's up to you. That's
it's
preference.
Really personal preference.
So yeah, these happen to have the tail on. I am going to let our dogs do them.
So while these are cooking down, it's only going to take about 2 minutes on each side for the shrimp. I'm going to prep my next ingredients, which are going to be a lemon and my fresh herbs. So fresh herbs, I'm just going to, I took them off the stem. Now I'm just going to kind of bunch them up together and slice. So I don't want to bruise the herbs either, so I've sliced them one way. I'm going to come back perpendicular. Does she need it? Okay. What?
It's easier for you.
Yeah. So I'm going to give my shrimp a quick flip.
Yeah.
And I know they're ready because they are this pinkish color. I don't want to overcook them because I'm going to be adding my wine in a moment. And I'm going to deglaze the pan with the wine, I've decided.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
So I'm just going to flip over these shrimp. They're just about cooked through. I don't want to overcook them because they're going to have time to cook in the sauce. But right now they're just sopping up all the flavor.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to do that?
Yep, you're going to finish off.
Yeah, I'm going to finish flipping these. He's got to go help his mom right now who's watching our baby out on her deck. He's going to bring out the high chair. So, yep, we're just going to give these a flip. Let these cook on the other side. You want to try to make sure that the shrimp have some space here.
Don't crowd the pan.
You don't want to crowd the pan, exactly.
You just got
Okay. And I'm sure Jimmy already mentioned, but when you're cooking shrimp, you know they're starting to cook through when the color changes, obviously, to this more pink color that you see here. So all of these are flipped, so we're just going to give them a moment to kind of cook down. I'm going to also check on the pasta, give it a quick stir. Okay, these bucatini might actually take a little bit longer than 8 minutes just because they're a slightly thicker noodle than your traditional like spaghetti or even a linguine or something like that. So I'll check them in 8 minutes and I'll know. But usually the way that I like to eat the pasta, and it might be different for somebody else, but I like it when I take a bite for it to have still just like a little bit of a bite to it. I don't want it to be mushy. I don't want it to be super hard either and see like the white in the center, but you want to give it a little bit of a bite and be able to kind of have that chew. And that's when you know it's it's like the perfect kind of temperature for the pasta. I was just going to say, maybe just move that because that keeps falling. But these look good to go.
Yep, so I'm actually just going to pull them and I'm going to deglaze the pan to make the sauce. So I'm just going to just pull them off. Just let them sit for a moment. Doesn't matter if there's some of the shallot in there. I'm going to set this to the side for a moment, and now I'm going to add my white wine.
So you're going to want about a half a cup of the white wine.
Just a touch over. I'm going to turn it up to high heat because I'm deglazing. In goes my white wine. If I was super fancy, I would do some sort of
yeah, we're not going to do
lighting
that.
it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let that cook off for a moment before I add in my shrimp back in. I am going to add a little lemon zest before I juice this. So I'm actually just going to add the zest over my shrimp. That's going to go back into the sauce. So a zester, you could use any microplane. This is actually specifically for that. So I zested just about half of it. It just adds a nice real burst of citrus because there's oils within the lemon rind.
The rind, yeah. That have a nice flavor to them.
So the lemon itself, I'm going to slice in half. We have this nice press, which is going to allow me to add the lemon juice.
And then also avoid getting the seeds in there.
Avoid the seeds, it would catch them.
And you're going to want to use 1 lemon. So that's good. You can hear this kind of sizzling up over here with the wine and the lemon juice. We're going to, like we said, we're going to let that wine kind of cook down a bit. You don't want it to taste like alcohol. And you're going to be able to kind of get a whiff of that and smell the alcohol in that. In one of the last recipes we did, someone had asked, is there a substitute for wine or alcohol if you're using beer or wine in a dish? You could certainly use a vegetable stock or chicken stock or something like that.
Just mix off. I'm going to get all those nice little bits off the side.
This has about 1 minute left on the timer for the pasta, so when that goes off, I'll give this pasta a check. I feel like it will probably be ready at that point, but I'll taste a noodle just to be sure.
I'm going to add a touch more butter to this.
You're going to add a little bit more butter and a little bit more oil once we add the noodles too. And what we're going to use tonight, we actually have authentic Parmesan cheese.
Yes, we bought the good stuff.
We bought the good stuff. So what I did learn is that with Parmesan cheese, if you're going for Parmigiano Reggiano, you have to have it from a certain region in Italy, and it has to have the marking on the rind to know. So that's Locadelle or Locatelli or Locatelli. Locatelli. And that is authentic Parmigiano Reggiano cheese.
You can smell the difference too. We bought it already grated. You could buy the block.
You can buy a block.
It's the same price, so you're not saving any money by buying the block. Just time.
Yeah. I'm checking one of these noodles here. It is floppy, so it probably is perfect, but let me just give it a taste.
And my sauce is boiling over here. You can tell by the steam. So
yeah, the noodles are perfect.
Now I know it's just about cooked off. It has the lemon in there. It has the butter. I'll give it a touch of
a little bit more
olive oil.
Here it is. The pasta's ready to go.
Touch of salt and pepper. And we're going to marry everything back together. Literally, in the words of Chris Traeger, everything back together into the one pot. That's the great thing about this. It's a one-pot dish.
Yes, and you tell me when you're ready for me to put the noodles in. Is that wine cooked down?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So he's going to add the shrimp and the shallots and the garlic and everything back in there. And then I will top it with the pasta. No, our little guy is fussy out there right now. He is teething a little bit, so I'm sure that's what it is. And actually, he just wants to be on the move nowadays. All right, so the bucatini is in. And where did I put that other? Oh, there we go. We can use the tongs for that.
I'm learning. I'm not using my hands.
Yes, don't use your fingers for this at home.
No, it's cool.
All right, good.
You can tell, it's not that hot, that the noodle has gotten much thicker, and now, well, you still can't really see the hole, but there is a nice hole through the center of it.
Are you going to be adding a little bit of the starchy cooking water? Yes, we generally do that with our pasta sauces. You know, you're going to kind of give it a look. I would say probably you're going to use, what, like a quarter of a cup?
About a quarter of a cup to half a cup, give or take.
Of this starchy water here.
So as I'm tossing this all together, at this point, I'm going to add my fresh herbs. Yeah. You will always want to add those last because you don't want them to overcook, but you do want to make sure they make it to the dish because they add such a nice flavor.
And I am getting some of the starchy water here for this. It's about a quarter of a cup. Okay, I'm just going to put that on top. He's going to give it a nice big stir again, kind of make sure that everything is evenly coated with the shallots, the garlic, the herbs, everything all together there. And then
So yeah, and you want to mix it up so that the sauce is getting into the
noodle.
bucatini, into this noodle.
For sure, because that's part of the best part of eating the bucatini is having that sauce in the middle, like you're sucking it up with a straw. So it's really yummy.
In the mash.
Okay, so super easy, right? This is a really, really simple meal. It's quick. I think we've been cooking for about 45 minutes or so, just about. Not even, maybe about 40 minutes. We're going to add a little bit more cheese on top. Then we're going to plate this up. If you have any questions, let us know. I'll check the chat. But I also hear our baby crying out there, so I may have to go check on him. But this looks good. So like I said, we're going to take a photo of this. We'll put it up on our Instagram a little later on this evening with the recipe. And really yummy dish. One of my favorites. I hope you enjoy if you make this at home.
Yeah, and the other thing with any sauce at this point, this is actually a nice consistency. But if it was too thick, I could add more of the starchy pasta water. If it was too thin,
you could add more butter.
You could add a touch more butter. I'm just going to thicken it up a touch because it's delicious.
What is it like more butter, right? If you're eyeing a garden, you know that you want more butter.
And then as this mixes, I'm actually going to grab a noodle and I'm going to give it a taste to see how we're doing, to see if I need to add anything. I most likely don't. You can tell my shrimp are nicely cooked through. They're nice pink, not quite red. I don't want them overcooked. They're a nice pink, light orangey pink. You want, like Sally was saying before, you want them to have a little bite, but you don't want them to be undercooked, and you don't want them to be tough and overcooked. You can probably hear the little guy crying outside with Nani. Let's grab a noodle, nice hot noodle. Woo. Give it a try. And that's perfect. Just a little more cheese. We're going to be good to go. So I've added about 2 tablespoons of cheese. This is going to be 3 and 4. The cheese is also going to add a nice salty bite to it. I'm going to turn down my heat because the pasta is cooked perfectly now. Again, that's why you are not cooking the pasta all the way through in the water because it's cooking in the pan as I'm mixing everything. I'm actually just going to turn my heat off because the pasta is perfect. And everything is just keeping it hot. We are good to go. I'm actually going to do 1 plate so you can see it plated. I'm not looking at the chat right now. I apologize. Okay. Sally's getting the baby. Sally's on her way back in. Let's set this aside. Do a quick little plate.
All right. Let's see.
So I'll use my fancy tongs.
Yes, the baby was outside with his Nani. He was outside. She took him for a walk, but he's getting a little fussy. He is teething, so I just brought him back inside. Yes, you could certainly use any other noodle. I would use a long noodle for this. That's just what our preference is. I mean, you can get whatever is local to you, but I prefer the bucatini when we make something like this, or even like linguine, spaghetti, fettuccine. Any of those longer noodles would be really yummy with this. But we just, like we said, we like the bucatini because it has that hole in the center, and it's fun.
It is. Let's see how pretty I can make this.
So he's gonna make a nice pretty plate for us here. Are you feeling better now, baby? Yeah, he just wanted mommy, I think. He just wanted mommy. Like we said, he's teething a little bit now. He is getting his 6th tooth already. And he is 6 months old, so this is very early for teeth. You're doing a good job. Good job. And honestly, he's probably hungry too. So
probably. Little boy's always hungry.
I'll feed him before I eat. Or maybe at the same time. Who knows? But yep, so that looks like a beautiful dish there. You could garnish it a little bit too with the fresh herbs if you have some left over if you want to make it a little prettier. Oh, yeah, you're definitely hungry. He's trying to eat my shoulder. Oh, yeah, so he's grabbing at me and trying to get my shoulder here. So let's see. All right, so I think we're done here.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us again. As usual, this has been fun for us. It's something that we like to do and something that we like to share with you.
He's over it.
He's over it. I think he's telling us, I'm done now.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for joining us. We'll be back on Friday making another meal. So join us on Friday if you can. If not, you can watch our videos on YouTube. I post them there. You can always replay them here too. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. And follow us on here if you don't already. Follow our page. Please, we appreciate it.
Subscribe. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, everybody.
Be
you have
safe
a
out
good
there.
night. Yep, stay safe. And this will be posted soon.
Yep. Our dinner is done.
Our dinner is done.
Use the catchphrase.
All right. Take care, everybody.
I actually have no idea how to stop.
I got it. Stop streaming.